Salutare tuturor și bine v-am regăsit la un live, să-i spunem, surpriză în această seară. Se întâmplă câteva lucruri importante în cazul românului Julian. Nu știu câți dintre voi ați apucat să vedeți clipul pe care l-am postat acum puțin timp, de vreo 2 zile. Vorbim despre un român care a fost răpit de teroriști în Africa și de mai bine de 8 ani se află în captivitate, fără să știm mare lucru despre el. Între timp au ajuns în atenția publică, probabil și la autorități care comunică destul de puțin despre caz, 2 înregistrări trimise de teroriști. Prin aceste înregistrări, Julian cere ajutorul autorităților, dar mai ales al familiei sale. Și am început să urmăresc acest caz din empatie, din simpatie pentru familie și din pur și simplu încerc să dau o mână de ajutor cuiva care este într-o situație foarte dificilă și care pare a fi uitat. Acum, pare așa o chestie absolut obișnuită, suntem obișnuiți să avem multe astfel de cazuri, dar cazul lui Julian este un pic aparte, pentru că este singurul român captiv în momentul acesta în Africa. Și mai are un superlativ, dacă nu era de ajuns acest caz: Julian este și străinul de țara respectivă care este captiv în Sahel de cel mai mult timp. De aceea acest caz mi-a atras atenția. Sper că ne auzim și ne vedem bine, pentru că în această seară o să aducem live mărturia cuiva care l-a cunoscut personal pe Julian în captivitate. Un om foarte special care nu are cea mai bună perioadă din viața lui, dar cu siguranță este mult mai bine decât era acum scurt timp. O să intru în detalii în scurt timp, dar m-a ajutat din partea voastră un pic de feedback. Așadar, spuneți-mi dacă ne vedem și ne auzim bine. E important să ne vedem și să ne auzim bine, pentru că ceea ce urmează să auzim este destul de important. Cred că, exact cum am zis în clipul postat acum 2 zile, cred că trebuie să spunem numele Julian de suficient de multe ori și suficient de des și suficient de tare încât să devină un subiect important. Pentru că, după cum știm, lucrurile se întâmplă atunci când vorbim mai mult despre ele, nu când este liniște. Liniștea nu face bine în astfel de situații, deși familia a primit din partea autorităților promisiuni și s-a cerut chiar să nu comunice cu presa. Acum, câteva lucruri se întâmplă și în zona asta de autorități. Se pare că eforturile noastre încep să arate câteva roade. Nu am de gând să spun foarte multe lucruri, vreau mai degrabă să aduc mărturile celor implicați și fără prea multă introducere o să-l introduc pe Jeffrey Woodke. Jeffrey Woodke este un american din California care a fost, este un lucrător, să zicem așa, pentru un umanitar care a fost și el răpit în Africa pe 14 octombrie 2016. Atunci se afla în Niger la momentul respectiv și el a fost eliberat recent, în martie, împreună cu un alt captiv ținut acolo de către teroriștii aceștia, un jurnalist francez pe numele lui Olivier Dubois. Amândoi au fost eliberați, după care au ajuns acasă și acum sunt în libertate. Își refac viețile, dar o să aflăm mai multe despre ce înseamnă întoarcerea asta acasă după atâția ani în captivitate, chiar vă spuneam, de la unul dintre cei care au fost în același loc cu Julian. Încă o dată, așa cum am promis, nu mă voi lungi prea tare, fără prea multe introduceri, și o să trec de aici înainte pe engleză. O să vi-l introduc pe Jeffrey Woodke. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, how are you, George?
Thank you for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
You look, you got a haircut in the meanwhile. At least
I did. Yeah, I got a haircut and a beard trim.
And a beard trim. Yeah, I could see that. So, Jeffrey, for the people following us, let's start by you telling us a little bit about yourself, because every time we hear about someone being taken hostage in Africa, there's also always question marks around that individual. So people want to know, how did you end up in Africa? How did you get yourself in such a dangerous position, in that dangerous place?
Okay. I went over to Africa in 1986, and I ended up in Niger for the first time in 1987, and I went there on a fact-finding mission to try and see how we could start our organization there. I worked for Youth for the Mission at that point. And took a few years, but in 1990 we got established there. My family and I, my wife and 2 children, and we had 2 more while we were living there. I ran a Christian NGO, non-governmental organization. We did humanitarian work, and we also did missions.
Okay.
Faith-based organization.
So you're
yeah.
living, were living in Africa with your wife and 3 children?
Yeah. When I was taken hostage, my children were all in high school, so we moved back to California, and my wife and family were living here in this house, and I was going back and forth.
Okay.
We were involved in a very large-scale development project at that point. I was a very busy guy, and I had a lot to do in Avalok, quite a bit of things. Avalok is the name of the village where I was taken. It's fairly remote. It's about 700 kilometers to the northeast of the capital. So I was out there doing my job, doing my work. I had a small house where I stayed when I was there. I had security guards. I had 2 soldiers and just a civilian night guard who was unarmed. That was going to be my last year. I was going to retire. I'd just been talking to people literally the day before about moving on and my replacement and all those kind of things. And I was ready to be done. I did 2 months there and then come home for 3 with my family. On the 14th of October in 2016, I came back from a wake, a mourning ceremony for a friend who died in the evening. I sat down, I spoke to my one of the security soldiers, and also my night guard, who's, like I say, a civilian. And then into my peripheral vision right around in here came a gun muzzle, a rifle muzzle. And boom, there were shots. And people started dying and crying and screaming. And I fell down and on my face to avoid getting in the crossfire. And eventually I figured I would be killed. Just laying there. So I got up and ran, and they chased me, beating me with rifles. Eventually I was knocked down. They destroyed part of my Achilles tendon in my right leg. I was unable to run anymore. They beat me in the head with the rifle butts. They took me. And I spent 6 years, 5 months, and 5 days in captivity with Jainim. They were holding me. An Al-Qaeda linked group.
Okay. So did you get to meet Julian in there?
Yeah. I was in, I think, my 4th month of captivity. I was with a group who was, they're a member group of Jainim, known as Al-Muribituni. And they're the ones that actually kidnapped me. I was in the process of being transferred to another member group, Al-Qaeda itself, and I was held at a camp, or 2 different camps, where Julian was also being held at that point. For about 2 weeks we were together. I was not able to speak with him directly, but we could do sign language, things like that, to try and communicate. We had to do it covertly, because if I had been seen doing that, I would have been beaten. But yeah, we did our best to communicate as much as we could. You've just lost your audio. Your audio, I can't hear you.
So I was wondering, how was he first? What was his state? Yeah.
At that point, and you have to realize that this was in 2017, he was in good health. He exercised regularly. He walked a lot. He seemed, in one way, he seemed to be in good spirits, but another way, he seemed not to have a lot of hope. He kept telling me that he thought he was a goner, that he would never be negotiated out, never be released. He didn't think the Romanian government would do anything, or anyone else would do anything for him. So we
Why
tried
was
to
that?
encourage each other.
Why was that? Why did he think that?
Yeah, I really don't know, but from what I was told by my captors at that point in time, there were no people actually negotiating for Julian. They were telling me that there was nothing happening, and I think that Julian had heard that information as well. So
Okay.
before we were separated, I did my best to make a promise to him that if I got out before he did, because I figured he would get out quicker, um, that I would do all I could to see him brought home to his family. And that's what I'm trying to do today.
Okay. So that was 6 years ago.
Yep.
Did you get a chance to learn anything in between these 6 years? Anything else about Julian?
No, I was kept in isolation. I was kept in complete isolation because of things that my captors believed about me. I was not allowed to be with other prisoners at all. I was kept in isolation and in chains for up to 16 hours a day. I
And
know after release that from private sources that Julian was not detained in the same manner, or is not being detained in the same manner. I don't know about the chains, but I doubt seriously that he's wearing them. And as far as I know, he is in fairly good health.
okay, that's a relief because we don't know anything else.
No,
What we've seen is
there's basically no information coming out.
okay. So, what are your plans? What are you trying to do for Julian? You said you made him a promise that you would do something for him. What was that promise?
Well, I made him the promise that I would do whatever I could to see him uh, set free, to see him reunited with his family and his loved ones, and get to go home and leave that terrible, terrible situation. You can't imagine what it's like. It's difficult for people who haven't experienced it to understand. Um, and once I was free, I was compelled. I could not allow him to stay there without doing something. And I found out that there was very little even known about him. He was still there. He's been there longer than I was, and I was there for an awfully long time. It seemed to me that he had been abandoned completely. And so I have some friends that were active in helping me to be released. One of them is Robert Clamser, and we began this effort that we're working on now. And my goal at this point is to raise awareness about the fact that Julian is still a captive. He's been there for 8 years and more. Um, Someone needs to do something to see him free, and I hope with all of my heart that the Romanian government will redouble their efforts to bring him home and reunite him with his family. And so I want to try and encourage the Romanian people to keep Julian in their thoughts and their prayers and in their actions as well. Um, they can contact their government on his behalf.
You're saying you're leading an effort to help Julian right now.
Yeah. I'm not
Have
leading
you,
it, but I'm part of it.
okay. Have you been contacted in any way by the Romanian government since your release?
Since my release, um, I can't really talk about that at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, let's leave
Okay.
it at that.
Okay. So I understand there's an effort underway. We don't want to get into specifics. We don't want to create any, let's say, problems for that effort. But the family has been hearing these stories about a crisis cell and in organizations and the government working hard to bring Julian home for the past 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the official story. What we're hearing, there's very short news pieces that we see every few years, but nothing else. On the other hand, you're telling me that Julian felt abandoned there, and from your understanding, there was no negotiation underway. Again, can you please tell me, how did you learn and who did you learn from that there were no negotiators on behalf of Julian?
Okay, please remember this information is 6 years old, more than 6 years old, and
He
I
was
was
already
told
in captivity for 2 years.
close to it. Yeah, I believe, and yeah, I was told by I couldn't speak with Julian directly, but just the way he spoke with me himself and the things he was saying and the way he communicated made it clear to me that he had little hope that there was something going to happen. And I was also asked numerous times by my captors, why is there no one negotiating for Julian?
So again, your
Now
captor
these were not
asked you.
high-ranking people in Janum. They were the local people that were tasked to guard me.
So your guards were asking you, the American
Yeah.
over there, if you why there's no one negotiating for the Romanian guy.
Yeah, they couldn't understand why not.
Yeah,
They couldn't figure that out.
yeah, it's the same question we are asking here. Okay, then. Yeah, I don't want to get into more details than this. I would like to learn a few things from you. I understand your time is limited. You're not feeling so well, but
No, not today.
how are you enjoying being free after all this time?
Freedom is wonderful. But you know something, George? The people that held me were cruel. They did some cruel things. Um, but there's cruel and bad people. There are cruel and bad people everywhere. It's the same world. I didn't change worlds. It feels to me like I changed realities when I got out of their truck and walked to freedom. But I really didn't. The reality of what's happening in northern Mali and other places in the Sahel and in the world um, remains the same. So I resolved right then and there, before I even got into the vehicle that took me out, that I needed to do something to put a stop to the people that treat human life as anything less than sacred. Um, and to me, that's what freedom is. And I'm learning how to walk that out, how to put one foot in front of the other each and every day. But if we don't love each other and take care of each other in this world, then our problems are only going to get worse for you, for myself, and for all those who are watching and listening. So that's why we have to work together, even on this small, what's a relatively small matter in terms of the world, getting Julian Garut free. We need to work together to make that.
You told me that when you got into captivity, the world was bad enough,
Mm.
and you're saying that it changed for in any way. Is it just as bad? Do you see anything better since your release in the world?
Do I see
You
anything better? Yeah, I think there are better things. I think that there is. I think that there's a certain spirit of openness that I didn't see before, and there's certainly technologically we've made advances. We can talk like we're talking right now. We can do things across huge distances, and we can connect. But at the same time, it's more fractured than it was before I was taken. There are more divisions. There's more trouble in the world, it seems, than there was before I left. And even within our societies, not to mention between our societies. So there are positive things and there are negative things. I don't want to be someone all doom and gloom. I think that we've got the tools. It's simple. We just have to love and care for each other, and esteem each other, and put ourselves out there to make things happen. And I believe that if we do those things, good things will happen.
In the end, it's only love that can move the mountains, isn't it?
God's love will prevail.
Okay, Jeff, as promised, I'm not going to keep you for too long. I'd like you to stay in good health.
Thank you.
And I understand it's your wish to come to Bucharest one day.
Yeah, my wife and I both would love to come. We'd love to be an encouragement to Julian's family and to do whatever we can to bring him home. And then you can interview him directly.
I think there's a family waiting for him back home that needs to see him sooner than anyone else. Yeah. I visited his family just a few days ago, and his father, he's 93. Mm-hmm. He's praying every day. Also his mother, they are going to church and praying every day for Julian. That also his family. They are very tight, and I admire that about them. Even their community comes together and they pray for the release of Julian. Yeah. But as we know, prayer helps, but we also need actions.
Yes.
Again, Jeffrey Woodke, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much. Please stay in good health, and I wish we could see you as soon as possible in Bucharest. Have a good night.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Ok. Așadar, nu s-a auzit grozav, dar cred că ideea a ajuns la voi. Și mi este greu să nu abuzez niciodată de emoțiile oamenilor. Niciodată nu am crezut în munca mea jurnalistică în importanța lacrimilor pe ecran sau a sentimentalismelor. Nu cred în genul acesta de jurnalism. Mi-este greu însă să mă abțin într-un astfel de moment, să face pielea de găină când mă gândesc la toată situația asta și nu aș vrea să spun mai mult. Aș vrea să mă opresc aici. V-aș încuraja, dacă nu ați văzut deja, să vedeți discuția mea cu familia lui Julian. Era gândită într-un alt context, nu vă pot spune mai multe acum. V-am promis că am să fac tot ce depinde de mine. Asta depinde de mine. Am ajuns la Jeffrey printr-o cunoștință comună care de asemenea încearcă să dea o mână de ajutor. Suntem o mână de oameni cărora le pasă. Acum sunteți și voi parte din mâna asta de oameni. Și sunt convins că aveți destule probleme. Sunt convins că aveți drumuri de făcut, aveți vacanțe în față, aveți nunți, petreceri. Și este normal să ne gândim și la părțile bune ale vieții. Vă încurajez să nu renunțați la lucrurile astea. Dar dacă cumva, printre cei care se uită la mine, am mai făcut apelul ăsta și insist, dacă printre cei care se uită sunt oameni care au informații, au acces, au influență, au putere, au orice unealtă la îndemână să ajute la salvarea din captivitate a lui Julian Gherguț, ar trebui să o facă. Înainte să fie prea târziu. Am toată încrederea că autoritățile noastre nu mint când spun că fac tot posibilul. 8 ani este prea mult. Este mult prea mult. Și în loc să mă lansez într-o tiradă din asta împotriva incompetenței, lipsei de interes, corupție și alte asemenea, nu am de gând să fac lucrul ăsta. Cred în bunăvoință, cred în forța binelui și cred că cei care se uită acum la acest clip, dacă au rămas până aici și încă nu au închis, cred și ei. Așa cum a zis și Jeff, dați un mesaj și voi la Ministerul Afacerilor Externe. Dacă știți pe cineva în zona aia, transmiteți-i un mesaj. Întrebați ce mai face Julian. Let's free Julian Gherguț. Și cam atât. Să aveți o seară bună, să fiți bine și ne vedem mâine dimineață la Curiosity. Numai bine tuturor!